Good evening from Terminal 4 at New York's JFK International Airport. Welcome to part 2 of my report on the world's longest flight. Tonight I'm going to be flying from New York to Singapore non-stop on Singapore Airlines Airbus A350-900ULR. This flight is expected to be even longer than my inbound flight from Singapore, and I'm looking forward to the experience. So let's get checked in for this ultra long haul flight. There was a smallish queue of about 15 to 20 folks at the Singapore Airlines check-in counters. However, there was only one counter available for premium economy class as compared to 5 counters for business class, and the queue barely moved even after 15 minutes. Thankfully, a second counter was opened up after a while and I managed to check in smoothly. JFK's Terminal 4 has a decent selection of duty-free stores and branded outlets, including some of New York's iconic brands.
So I've cleared security and I'm making my way to gate A3 where my flight to Singapore is departing tonight. It's going to be a long flight, maybe around 18 hours or so, but we'll find out how long it actually is.
After a short walk, I am at gate A3, and looking at the number of people waiting here, it looks like a full house tonight. Taking me to Singapore tonight is an Airbus A350-900ULR 9V SGB, the second of 7 such aircraft in the fleet. Tonight I'm seated in 41C, one of 6 solo seats on the A350-900ULR. These seats can be reserved at the time of booking for an extra fee of around $150 USD. Here's the view out of my window tonight. Let's do a quick seat tour. The seat pitch in premium economy class is 38 inches, which is considered standard. The seat has a 13.3-inch touchscreen based IFE system. The solo seats have a lot of personal space and also feature this large storage bin next to the seats, which is big enough to fit a carry-on bag and other items such as jackets, pillows, etc., as you can see. The captain announced that there would be a short delay in our departure, and we finally pushed back at around 11:30 p.m., a delay of around 50 minutes post our departure time. The IFE system still shows a polar route for this flight, but we would be taking a completely different route due to the unavailability of Russian airspace. Okay, let's take another detailed look at the seat. The seat itself is covered in grey leather and looks classy. There is a wide armrest with a dedicated space to hold your drink glass and the big storage bin that we saw earlier. There is additional space next to the bin in case you want to store something temporarily during the flight. There are cutouts to store two 500 ml bottles of water, very handy for this ultra long haul flight. Below the literature pocket is a footrest that can be folded out when needed and provides good support to your feet. The aircraft is equipped with Singapore Airlines' famous Crisworld IFE system, and the display quality of this 13.3-inch screen is top-notch. The aircraft also has the Panasonic Voyager 3D flight map and information system, which is pretty useful and provides all the necessary information and progress of your flight. It's been just under half an hour since we departed from New York, and we are currently flying north over Massachusetts. We have over 17.5 hours to go before our arrival into Singapore. The Crisworld IFE system has this useful section called My Flight. Apart from the flight path, this gives you additional information such as the in-flight menu on this flight. You need to connect to the in-flight Wi-Fi on your personal device to view the menu. Since I had not selected the Book the Cook option tonight, I was curious to see what were the stock meal options on offer on this flight. There are 3 meal services on this 18-hour-long flight: supper, breakfast, and refreshment. In addition to this, there is the delectable section, which consists of snacks that you can pick up from the rear galley. I'm curious to find out about the timing of each of these meal services and the quality of food on offer. Singapore Airlines offers these excellent noise cancellation headphones in premium economy class. These are solidly built and closely resemble the Bose QC25 wired headphones. The fit over your ears is quite secure, and the noise cancellation and sound quality is fantastic. The headphones easily filter out most of the aircraft and surrounding noise. I found these headphones quite comfortable to wear even after using them for multiple hours at a stretch. The first meal service of this flight was supper, which was served just over an hour after departure. I had opted for the slow-cooked beef ragu, which was accompanied by stir-fried veggies and mashed potatoes, along with a risotto and smoked chicken salad, a bread roll, cheese and crackers, and a tub of Haagen-Dazs ice cream for dessert. I asked for a glass of champagne to accompany the meal. The beef was tender and perfectly cooked, and the sauce was delicious. I was not a big fan of the salad though. Oh, and I asked for a glass of Singapore Airlines signature cocktail, the Singapore Sling, which was lovely as always. I decided to watch Rogue Agent, my first movie for this flight, as I enjoyed my supper. We encountered some moderate turbulence after the meal service ended, which lasted for a few minutes, but it was nice and smooth later. With my tummy full and feeling tired after a long day, I covered myself in a blanket and drifted off to sleep. I slept for a good 3 to 4 hours, and when I woke up, we had already crossed the Atlantic and were flying over southern Germany. The local time at our present location was just after noon, and it was quite bright outside. However, the area was covered in thick clouds, so I couldn't see anything below. So it's been about 6 hours and 40 odd minutes since our departure from JFK, and we have around 11 and a half hours to go before our arrival into Singapore. I had a good sleep of about 3 to 4 hours and I feel quite fresh. It's now time for the loo review. The restroom on this aircraft was quite standard, with the wood panel design giving it a classy look. It was a bit on the narrower side, but had all the basic toiletries and amenities that one would find on a long-haul flight. The restroom was kept quite clean throughout the flight. As you know, sitting for long periods of time is unhealthy, so I decided to get some steps in by pacing around the galley. As the cabin was quiet at the time, it felt nice to walk and stretch on this 18-hour-long flight. The cabin was kept completely dark by the crew, and most passengers were either sleeping or catching up on some in-flight entertainment. As I was feeling hungry, I asked for a vegetable sandwich and some orange juice from the snack trolley, which the crew brought to my seat. Okay, time for another movie. It's going to be Bohemian Rhapsody next, which I have watched multiple times, but I still enjoy watching it again. I asked the crew for a gin and tonic to go with the movie, which was served with packs of almonds and cashew nuts. Time for the third movie of this flight, and it will be Top Gun Maverick. As a Navy geek, I can watch this movie again and again, and is extra special to watch it during a flight. After a while, the crew switched on the mood lighting and slowly brightened up the cabin for the next meal service. The second meal service for this flight was breakfast, and I chose the stir-fried prawn in ginger garlic sauce, which was served with fried noodles and vegetables. Accompanying the meal was a bread roll, cut fruits, and flavored yogurt. The prawns were fresh and the noodles were quite tasty. Overall, I was happy with the quality of this meal. After finishing the meal and the movie, I decided to catch up on some sleep. The cabin was dark and quiet, and I fell asleep in no time. When I woke up, we had entered Indian airspace and we were flying somewhere close to Jaipur. It was just after midnight local time over India, and we had around 5 hours to go to Singapore.
So it's been about 13 hours into this flight and we're currently cruising over central India. We have roughly around 5 more hours to go before our arrival into Singapore. The flight has been great so far. I managed to catch up on some sleep after the breakfast service and watched another movie. It is a long flight, but it doesn't really seem that tiring.
Here is a look at the actual routing of this flight. We flew north after taking off from New York, crossed the Atlantic, and then flew over Ireland, the UK, Europe, Turkey, Central Asia, India, and then crossed the Bay of Bengal down to the Malacca Straits. This flight would usually take the polar route, but as most airlines avoid flying over Russian airspace these days, we would be taking a more southerly but longer route to Singapore. The cabin was brightened up again for the final meal service of this flight, around an hour and 45 minutes before arrival. The final meal on this flight was officially called refreshment and consisted of a slice of margherita pizza in a box. There were no accompaniments except a drink of your choice. The pizza itself was piping hot and tasted quite nice.
So we are around 17 hours into this flight with just over an hour to go before our arrival into Singapore. The total flying time today would be about 18 hours and 18 minutes. This is the world's longest flight and I'm super happy to have finally flown on it. The Airbus A350-900ULR is a great aircraft and the solo seat in premium economy class makes it even better if you're flying such a long flight.
After freshening up, I decided to watch a few episodes of The Big Bang Theory before arrival.
West of Changi Airport, Singapore, and shall be starting the descent shortly from 41,000 feet. This morning we'll be flying to the east of Changi Airport before making a right turn and eventually landing towards the northeast with the city on our left. The weather over Singapore is reported to be good. Partly cloudy skies, a light breeze from the northwest, and a temperature of 25 degrees Celsius. From our present indications, we're expecting to land at 5 minutes to 7 in the morning, and we'll get you to the gate. A few minutes thereafter, get you disembarking at Terminal 3. If you'd like to set your watch, the local time in Singapore is 13 hours ahead of New York, and it's now 6 minutes past 6.
The crew switched on the cabin lights and made preparations for landing around 30 minutes before arrival as we made a bumpy descent into Singapore. I am always amazed by this view of ships waiting to enter Singapore port as we make our final approach into Singapore. The view looks even more spectacular at night. We finally land on runway 02 left at Singapore's Changi Airport just before daybreak after flying for more than 18 hours non-stop from New York on the other side of the world. The Airbus A350-900ULR is a fantastic aircraft and the Singapore Airlines crew delivered a stellar onboard service. The solo seat in premium economy is super comfortable and offers so much personal space. I don't think I would want to sit in a standard economy class seat on such a long flight.
Welcome to Singapore, ladies and gentlemen, and to all Singaporeans and residents of Singapore, a warm welcome home. Please remain seated with your seatbelt fastened until the seatbelt sign is off. Please take care when opening the overhead compartments, and remember to take all your belongings with you. It's been our pleasure serving you on this flight. Thank you for flying Singapore Airlines, a member of Star Alliance.
Good morning from Singapore's Changi International Airport Terminal 3. We have finally landed at Singapore after a flying time of 18 hours and 15 minutes from New York. I hope you enjoyed flying with me on the world's longest flight from New York's JFK Airport to Singapore. Hope to see you on my next flight.